Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a 2v2 healer tier list video for 9.1.5 season 2, the final tier list for this season, since I think season 3 will come out around February, so we have like 1 month for preparation and see how it goes on the PTR. Be sure to like and subscribe the video if you liked the video, but also if you liked what I tried to do on this channel. There is a few guides coming up on your way with a few classes that I'm playing, but of course I need to be sure about what I'm going to put out on this channel. So let's start this video with Disc Priest, but also explaining the tier lists. So we have God tier, S tier, A tier, B tier, no C tier, because I think with healers, I think you are always demanded, doesn't matter which healer you're playing. And B tier for me, it's like average, but I think an average healer is still better than the average DPS, for example. And meh tier, because you will see why in a few minutes. I'm going to explain the God tier because I feel like in my previous videos some people don't really understand what I mean with God tier. For me, God tier is a S tier spec that is just above everyone else for me. So if I feel like, for example, I'm not going to put it, if Disc Priest is for me God tier, it just means that it's a S tier, but it is better than the S tiers on that particular tier list. So for me, with Disc Priest, we're going to start with Disc Priest. It is a S tier spec. I'm going to explain why. It is not the best S tier spec, for sure, but it is still a fantastic spec to play in 2v2. You have damage, so you basically are a second DPS. You have the survivability, you have also the healing, you have the shielding, you have everything that you want from a healer in 2v2. I think in 2v2, DPS, or at least the output DPS and the output healing, is very important. It doesn't really matter how you're going to get, because often than not, the dampening games will make that getting is a lot quicker, but also getting DPS down by a double DPS or a DPS healer is much more likely. So for me, Disc Priest, they can get paired off with an assassination rogue. Often than not, I think Holy Priest is maybe better for that particular spec, but they can work with a Feral Druid, for example. They can work with a lot of good melee specs, but also good caster specs. If you pair it with an Affliction Lock, for example, with Mind Games, it could be deadly, because then again, they need to dispel Mind Games, and then you have a free shackle on that enemy. So there's a lot of good things with Disc Priest. You will need to play Venthyr, but yeah, you have a lot of choices, I think, with Disc Priest. You have like a lot of classes that you can play with. So I recommend this spec. Even Super Tease has made a video about Disc Priest. It is really a fun spec to play. Like, it is a DPS spec, but with the positives of a healer. Does make it that you are a lot worse in output healing, but you have the many tools that you have in disposition to try to make your DPS survive a burst, for example. Holy Paladin. So maybe I will be controversial with that, but for me it is a B tier spec. So it's very average at this very moment. It has some DPS, it has great output healing, but outside of bubbles, the survivability of a Holy Paladin is just tied to the DPS wanting to switch on the Holy Paladin. If the Holy Paladin bobs your target and then you switch on the Holy Paladin, gets the bubble out, then often than not the Holy Paladin will die after the bubble, because it's super easy to kill a Holy Paladin. It's super squishy. It feels like it's not, but it is, and kinda is dying super quickly. The only good thing of Holy Paladin is the output healing. That's why it's also a very good spec for RBGs, and also the utilities that you can provide. But often than not, in 2v2, you're going to get like very big trouble just because of your class. But also, it gets super fast. Same as a Disc Priest, but even worse. I think Disc Priests are even less manavore as a Holy Paladin, so that's why for me it deserves a B tier. I'm close to think it is maybe the worst healer spec at the moment. I'm going to explain it why in a few seconds. Holy Priest, so now I'm a bit torn. I don't know if I want to put 2 god tier specs or only 1. I think a lot of people will think that Holy Priest is a god tier spec, but for me it is the second best spec. So it is Holy Priest at S tier. Why? Because it has a lot of good CDs. It has the legendary that you can play to be super annoying, to actually be untargetable in 2s. If you go on Holy Priest and you kill the Holy Priest, then imagine the Holy Priest has the legendary to get back up. Like, you have put all those CDs, all those efforts to kill a Holy Priest that is going to come back into the game with just a legendary. So I feel like Holy Priest makes it that your DPS gets targeted down. So it means that your priest has all the time in the world to actually CC, heal, even DPS, a little bit worse than disc, but still the DPS is respectable if you are going for an aggressive build. I don't know, I think Holy Priest is better than Disc Priest, but they are both at S tier for me. I think the Priest's spec and class are really insane. They have so much utility. The Venthe, Mind Games, Covenant spell is fantastic. They can also go for that cheesy build with Kyrian where they are going to one-shot someone. But yeah, I think Holy Priest has a really good spot, and they have so many classes that they can pair up with, like rogues, balanced druids. They can also play with fire mages, not really with frost. I feel frost needs a more aggressive healer. But yeah, they have a lot of options, So Protection Paladin is for me meh. Why did I put Protection Paladin into the tier list? Just because I feel like some people are still playing Protection Paladin as a healer slash DPS, but I feel like they have dumbed down the healing capabilities of a Protection Paladin. So for me, it is fallen out of meta. I think if B tier is still a little bit of meta, I think Protection Paladin in the meh tier is a bit of a wreck. I think it's you should step down from the Protection Paladin and go back to Holy Paladin, for example, or just go for Retribution Paladin and pair it up with a double DPS, because it's quite the same. I think it's super annoying to play against, but once you are kind of knowing how to play against a Protection Paladin, it gets actually easier with the time. So I think season 1 was really terrible. I think Protection Paladin could have been seen as an A or a S tier, but now I think with all those nerfs, they deserve the meh tier. I think they are not really seen as a healer anymore. Resto Druid, it is the god tier spec for me. I play Resto Druid. I might be biased, but Resto Druids for me are the ultimate 2v2 spec. In 3s it's a bit different because you don't have the time to actually DPS, but in 2s you can go for Feral Affinity and bleed some people out. Like it happens to me that when I'm playing versus a DPS and a healer, I often and not try to get my DPS as high as possible with all those bleeds, Moonfire, Sunfire, the legendary that gives me more DPS on my dots. It is really enjoyable to play, and you can do some good and fun things with juking. You can jump off of roofs and then go back on the roof with the travel form jump. You can bait people out. You have so many defensives. You have thorns, which is super annoying for a melee to actually deal with it. You have some counters. Yeah, I think shamans are the primary counter to a Resto Druid because they can purge, and often than not they can play like Resto Shaman with a Shadow Priest, and often than not you will be without any HOTS. So that there is some things that you can try to avoid as a Resto Druid, but getting purged is still a bad feeling for them. They are very fun to play. I think for me it's god tier because of all those aspects. Also ladder wise, You can pair it up with a survival hunter and you can wreak havoc. You can pair it up with a BM hunter and wreak havoc, even with a marksmanship hunter, even though marksmanship hunter prefers a priest. There is a lot of things that you can do as a Resto Druid to actually carry games. Like, it's not a Holy Paladin that is trying to carry his mate, it's a Resto Druid that actually carries his mate with all this damage, all this CC, all these healing capacities, all these defensives that they have with PvP talents and also baseline spells. So really, Resto Druids are really amazing. The skill curve and the learning curve is very high and very steep. But once you have learned all those spells, whenever you need to press those spells, whenever you need to actually run, whenever you need to actually put some healing up, whenever you need to actually play defensive or offensive, I think Resto Druid is the ultimate 2v2 spec. I think it's the most fun. In trees it's a bit different because you don't have the time to actually put out any damage. But in twos I think it is like the most fun spec that you can play in arenas. Resto Shaman. So I'm hesitating because in twos it's actually super strong because of the Earthquake legendary. I think since it's like a DPS versus DPS healer or DPS, you have the capacity to actually DPS with your DPS. So it means you can go for the Earthquake legendary instead of for the Earth Shield legendary, for example. So yeah, you can forego a bit of output healing and go for a bit more DPS. The Earthquake legendary by itself does like 100k damage over the course of 1 minute, which is obnoxious. But for me, yeah, I think people will be mad, but for me it's a STS spec, maybe a little bit less good than a Disc Priest, but just because of the Earthquake legendary. I feel like Earthquake legendary plus Night Fae, which means that you can actually give someone solo. Like, the damage is really insane. It's also super annoying to deal with. Sometimes you get knocked out, stunned. It's really strong. It is really, really strong. I think the output healing is a bit less. It does a lot of AoE healing, true, but I think in some matchups you will have difficulties to actually heal your target up, especially if you get silenced or CC'd, or the people are actually aware to totem stomp the important totems. So there's a few things that you can do versus a Resto Shaman to be super annoying, but you have a lot of tools like grounding totem, like Counter Strike totem. You have like the Sky Fury totem if you want to go for DPS. You have the Earthquake legendary, again very strong. And if I think in 9.2 it will be even stronger, since the Earthquake legendary can be paired up with the Night Fae legendary, and it can be very obnoxious to play against. So this is the beginning and of course the end of the tier list, and we'll put Mistweaver monks as probably someone will also complain about, but I think for me the Mistweaver monk is better than the Holy Paladin in twos. It is super annoying to play against with Revival, the Peaceweaver PvP talent. They can actually destroy Affliction with 2 PvP talents. They can actually destroy Shadow Priest with 2 PvP talents. They have lots of possibilities to actually not get like they never go They have like super great ranged healing. They have also a disarm, which is super strong versus warriors. So you can pair up with a class that has no disarm, and then those two are going to destroy the warrior, for example. I think it's also super annoying to target him, since it's so slippery. It cannot TP while there are stuns. They can just roll away. They can just run away in general. They are really, really strong. And I think, yes, maybe I exaggerate a bit for putting it in A tier, but for me, I'm trying to rank those classes so that if you're picking Holy Paladin, you should know that Holy Paladin is the most average class that you can play in as a healer spec, especially in twos. I think in threes it's a bit different because you have lots more utilities and you can actually do a bit more than survive, since you are the main target often than not. But still, I think since you have 2 other DPSs that can protect you, you can be a bit more slippery than in twos. but the mistweaver monk is really interesting. I think next patch will be the patch of mistweavers. They have lots of utilities. They have good legendaries that are just asking to pair themselves up. The Necrolord Mistweaver Monk with the Cephas will make Mistweavers super slippery, super heal bursty, like they have lots of utilities. I think what they miss is the DPS compartment. I think it's the worst healing spec DPS wise. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I feel like this tier list makes sense. Of course, I think a lot of people will still be mad about the Holy Paladin being average, Mistweaver being a bit better than Holy Paladin, and maybe the Resto Shaman being S tier instead of A tier. But for me, I'm trying to explain why I'm putting all those classes in a particular setting. For me, Resto Druids are the best healer spec. Holy Priests are the second best spec, and they are really versatile. They can play with a lot of classes. They have a stun or a disorient, so they can play in function with your class. If you're playing with a rogue, you don't need the stun. You can pick the disorient and it goes perfectly. Disc Priest and super magnificent damage. I think maybe they could be quite equal with the Resto Shaman, because they have like the same playstyle, go aggressive, not so much output healing, but still they have great survivability. They have totems, they have shields, both of them are Resto Shaman and the Disc Priest. They have lots of possibilities to actually turn fights, and Resto Shaman with the Earthquake legendary puts it automatically at A tier. And then when you think about healing and totems and survivability and utility, you can put them at S tier at this moment. But I think even without the utility, even without nothing, the Earthquake legendary puts them automatically at A tier. For me, it's a S tier because of all those things combined. Mistweaver monks, again, I'm going to explain it, but the mobility is very annoying to deal with in twos, especially for a few classes. If I'm playing Affliction, for example, again, first they have two PvP talents that makes it super hard to deal with it, because they can dispel for free, and they have the mobility that makes it I can't put my dots on him, because they don't want to let me. So what I'm going to do, if I'm facing melee versus Mistweaver Monk, I'm trying to keep the warrior away from him. But then again, the warrior has also a brain cell, you know, so he doesn't really need to follow me to get lines, to get his healer lines and then die with a death bolt, for example. All those things need to be considered. I think Mistweaver monks are really versatile in twos. Maybe a little bit less in threes, because they have two DPSs that can chase them down and actually turn on the Mistweaver monks when they don't have these CDs. But I still think it's better than Holy Paladin. That Holy Paladin is not a 2 spec for me. I think it's more of a RBG or even a 3 spec. In twos, it lacks the mobility to be super annoying. While in threes, the mobility is not that impressive for any class really, except for Demon Hunter. But Holy Paladins, they have like the good output healing, but often than not they won't have the chance to do the output healing. And Protection Paladin, it's meh. Don't play it. It's not meta anymore. Season 1 has passed, and I think maybe in Season 3 it might come back because of the tier sets, but we will see. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope this tier list makes sense for you, since I'm trying to explain it. But also, thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked the video. Dislike the video if you didn't like the video, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. I'm putting guides, PvP, explanations, tier lists. I'm trying to plan out the videos out, but it's a bit difficult since I have a child. So it's difficult to actually plan out my videos and plan it's accordingly with the family life I have. So thank you for watching the video. Again, have a great day and see you next time. Bye.